3 of Spooky Empire in Orlando, Florida. And I am at my table today from 11 to 5, and Alex, Vincent, and I have a panel at noon, so come on out and see us.
The hostess with the mostest, ladies and gentlemen, it's James! Good morning, everyone! Or, I guess afternoon, technically now. How are you guys doing? You recovered from Saturday night? Yeah, you ready to do some chatting this morning? Woo-hoo! All right, so please give a huge round of applause. Welcome to the stage, Alex and Christine. Round of applause! Oh yeah, I should say we're also joined by Chucky, of course. Both of them, that's right. So obviously the glaring 2 dolls up here on stage we got to talk about a little bit. What's the difference between the 2?
This doll.
You have your microphone right over there. Here you go.
This doll.
We on? Should be on.
Okay. Hi. This doll, after 30 years and 4 films and a lot of begging, I finally got a good guy doll of my own from the last movie, from Cult of Chucky. So that's what this one is. This one, a fan made for me, amazingly.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. I'll be home.
I say don't believe him.
I don't know. He told me that 30 years ago, and I'm still here, so.
That's true. Were you ever weirded out by any of the dolls when you were on set?
No, that's a question I get asked most often is, was it scary to work with them? And no, he looks really cute when he's not being Chucky. And when he is being Chucky, there's, 50 wires coming out of him and 9 puppeteers around him working him. So, and in between takes, they can make him do anything they wanted to do. So like in that car scene in Child's Play 2 with me, in between takes they'd have him feeling my thigh and batting his eyelashes at me. So you can see there's a picture on my table of me leaning in to get a kiss because he was being so cute. So he was the opposite of scary. He was really cute.
All right, so obviously you guys work together on set. You guys can hear me a little bit as I'm shouting? All right, cool. When you guys were working together, I know you had the scene in the car with the doll, and I heard someone the other day when they were talking to you at your panel, they would like to see that to come into like its own TV show or some kind of Netflix special. Just pick, a regular.
Riding around with
Yeah, you guys
Kyle
riding
and
around
Chucky.
in the car with Chucky.
Yeah.
Were you ever approached with another idea of working more with the franchise? I know you continued on.
I made a reappearance after the credits in Cult, and the TV series that's in development is allegedly going to involve both Alex and myself, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, like horror villains in cars getting coffee or something. Yeah, no, I think the TV series is hopeful. In this business, you never really know what's going to happen. So they're saying now that it's likely, so let's hope so. Because the idea of having 10 hours to tell more of the story after Cult of Chucky instead of 90 minutes sounds like a lot of fun to me. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think it sounds fun. And there's advantages and disadvantages to where we go with it, like whether it would be on a network or Netflix. I think we'd choose the ability to make the show uncensored more than anything. So Netflix sounds like a great idea. We're good.
I think the personality of Chucky when he goes to that uncensored side is what we kind of all enjoy. And when you guys can interact with him when he's being a little bit more on the blue side, it takes it more into the ridiculousness, and that's what we love about it. And then when he gets vicious and mean, and you guys can retaliate, that's the fun part of that genre of horror.
The blend between comedy and horror with Chucky is, very debatable. In a divided country, we stand. No, it's true though. Like some people want the Chucky jokes, and they want him to be hilarious, and other people don't want to laugh once in the whole film. So you can't please everybody, but I think, like the last one, Cult, I think was a very good blend of comedy and horror. It was also the goriest one we've made yet, so if that sets the bar, it's going to get worse, I guess.
We're going to go ahead and open questions and answers. If you guys want to do any questions, go ahead and line up over here at the microphone. Feel free to come on up. We'll get you guys
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, yeah. We're going to toggle over to Christine. You had, obviously, some big success after Child's Play, moving on to 90210, playing continued teenager. Was it a little strange for you being, like, above the teenage years, but playing teen still?
I was 24 in Child's Play too.
Right,
I played 17. I played 17 for a decade, and it paid the bills, so I'm not complaining.
Not
It was
mad at
great.
that at all. And you still look amazing, so you can, you know.
I can't play 17.
Maybe 27.
No, but yeah, there was a time though where it got ridiculous, where I'm like, but Dad, I want to go to the prom, and I'm like pushing 30, you know. So
Go to the
It did
prom,
get-
go
it did get
drinking with your
tiring.
friends afterwards.
yeah. So it was work is great. All work is great. So grateful to have all of it.
Absolutely. I think Teef's looking around. I don't know. I don't trust it. Just checking you guys out. All right, so we got the microphone open. If you guys want to do questions and answers, come on up. So going back to the filming of Child's Play 2, the whole foster family experience, is that something that you guys know about from friends, or, you know, did you get into any research for that, trying to get into your characters?
No, no. I'm not an actor that has really ever had the opportunity. I played a role that was so outside of my sort of just innate ability to understand. But most actors at my level don't get hired a month in advance. You know, when I did ER, I got my first audition was at 3 in the afternoon on a Monday. I got called back at 6:30 that night, got the job that night, and was on the set at 6:30 the next morning.
That's not usual.
That is
Oh, really?
usual.
For TV?
It's quick, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I not that I would have researched being a medical student, but I couldn't have had I wanted to. I just think that the researching thing is, like, how do you research being chased by a killer doll? There's no research for that. And
No.
there's two kinds of actors in the world, I think. One is the one, like Meryl Streep, that she loses herself in the role and you can't see her anymore. And then there's a Jack Nicholson kind of actor that Jack Nicholson's Jack Nicholson pretty much in every part. And not that I'm Jack Nicholson, but I'm more that kind of an actor. I sort of submerge myself, like I put myself in the situations as best I can, rather than trying to lose. I'm not that talented.
Yeah.
I disagree, but okay.
Other than a biopic, I don't see any reason either to do that too much, because everybody's different. So
Yeah, I once read that like Jennifer Jason Leigh got a job at the mall to find out what it's like to have a job at the mall, and I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not how you work. Yeah, I gotcha.
How foreign is that to you? Having a job is so foreign, you have to go get one to find out. It's odd to me.
Method acting, not for you. All right. So is it a little strange working with Alex when he was a child, and now working with him doing the con circuit, obviously grown up? I mean, did you guys stay in touch all the way through, or did you reconnect when this all started happening?
we did a convention together maybe 7 or 8 years ago, or 8 years ago about. And no, without social media back then, and I didn't have a cell phone when I was 8, so.
Sure.
Yeah, it would have been creepy if I stayed in touch with him when he was 7 years old.
Sure, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, but no, we over the past 7, 8 years, we see each other a couple times a year to a lot of times a year. She actually is kind of like my older sister now. We talk all the time, so.
That's cool. So the
Yeah.
bond remains true. Awesome. Yep.
It does.
Very cool.
And you know, this television series, again, we don't know what's going to happen or what might happen. But if we do have an opportunity to act together as Andy and Kyle, that might be a little odd for us. But it'll be fun.
And Don Mancini floated the idea to me that maybe Kyle and Andy would have a romantic relationship, which I had to
No.
put the fucking kibosh on right away. No.
I don't think anyone would respond well
That
to
would be
that.
so gross. No offense, Alex.
Continue with almost a sibling
None.
kind of friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. When she was coming up through 90210 and ER, like you were saying, is that something that you would watch? And
Yeah.
Be like, I knew that in wrestling.
I wasn't gonna watch 90210 otherwise, but I did. Yeah.
Really, you weren't into the whole like Shannon Doherty thing? No. All right.
No.
Yeah, you're a little younger than me. That's when I was
it
watching
my time.
90210. Yeah.
I think we're probably pretty close. It was
Yeah.
that time. I just was,
It's not a boy thing. I get it.
yeah, no,
Wasn't a boy show.
no.
So going into the TV realm of things for you, what was the best experience you had doing episodic television rather than a movie?
Well, when I started acting, the world was such that you had to do either TV or movies. You weren't allowed to straddle them. And I became an actor not because I love acting or wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be involved with movies, and I thought I wanted to be a director. It just was a path that was more difficult to walk than just becoming an actor to get in the door. Once I became an actor, I liked it more than I thought I would, so I stayed there. But I always wanted to be in movies. And when I first started acting, everyone told me I was so edgy that I couldn't work in television and that I would only work in movies, which was just great with me, but that's not what happened. I ended up doing the most mainstream TV there is. There's nothing more mainstream than Aaron Spelling, which is great though. It's great now. I'd rather do the edgier stuff is in TV now. The TV's really come a long way.
Well, it's not TV, it's HBO.
Exactly.
It's all the stuff like Netflix and YouTube and all the things that people have been wanting to put out there but hasn't been able to because it wasn't mainstream. And I think it's kind of cool that you became the edgy part of that, and that era has been ushered in now.
Yeah, I would say there's so many things I can say that are gratifying for me about the stuff that I've done. One of the most gratifying is the character I played on 90210. The Emily Valentine character came in season 2, and so there was no other person on the show to represent anybody that wasn't really in the cool kids.
Perfect ones, yeah.
So over time, I have learned that Emily Valentine held the place on that show for anybody that felt other, whether it was because they were financially different from their peers, or gay, or punk rock, or a different race, or anything, that Emily held a place for them on that show. And I was an outsider. I was super punk rock in high school, and I was that kid too, so it
was good casting.
It's an honor to hold that place for those people, so that's been great.
And for somebody who watched it in high school, you seemed more real too, and more relatable than the people, like you said, who had all the money and all the things that seemed to make life easier.
Yeah, and that character, Emily Valentine, was initially conceived as more of a Julia Roberts type. She was supposed to be drop-dead gorgeous with cascading red hair and ride a motorcycle and play guitar and sing, none of which I can do. And so that's why that character never rode a motorcycle after the first episode, never sang another fucking song, and never carried that guitar around anymore because I couldn't do any of those things. But when I went in with motorcycle boots on and that leather hat that I wore in Child's Play 2, it's my lucky hat, I got that job with that hat, I got 90210 with that hat. And they changed the character to be me, so that's, I think, why it felt so sort of authentic, is because it was me.
That means you're strong enough for them to see that. I love that. Very, very cool. So The Lucky Hat. Child's Play 2 was your first movie?
No, I think I did a movie called Defenseless with Barbara Hershey.
Oh, yeah.
Tiny part, though, not a big part.
So this is the big one.
Yeah, it was my first big
one.
job, yeah.
Did the hat carry on for any other jobs?
Yes, it was in 21 Jump Street and a whole bunch of other things. It's the single piece of memorabilia I have from my career, and I owned it before I was an actor, so I went into my career with it. There's a big misconception that actors get to take things from sets and you get to take props and take Chuckies, and I don't have a fucking Chucky. Through 30 years, I don't have a Chucky, and I want one desperately, and you just can't walk away with stuff. So to have, anyway, the hat's my only real thing.
You should make replicas of that hat, and maybe next spooky people will riot over it.
Yeah.
I was afraid of losing it, and so I tried to find another one, and I can't. I would like to
Maybe
get
you'd have your own line.
Yeah.
Your own line of Emily Valentine hats.
Yeah.
For all the things from the 90s that are coming back now, it's making a big resurgence, and that's why the interest in the cult of Chucky has gotten so big as well, because all the parents who grew up with the Child's Play movies are now introducing their kids. You see mine in the front row, so such a good parent right there. Introducing them to these movies, and the kids are getting into it now, so it's a whole new generation for you guys. Are you seeing that in your fans?
This doll, I think, tapped into the inherent fears that people had before this movie came out, and during and long after. So I haven't noticed like a generation switch. It's been pretty steady. all new kids get exposed to it, and some run and hide, and some with parents like yours put on the black clothes and watch horror movies. So.
Yep. I think this is a fun horror movie too for kids and parents to watch together because of the humor that's in it, like you were saying. And you said you haven't had a Chucky, and it took you 4 movies to get one?
Took me, yeah.
4 movies to get one.
Yeah.
Were you exposed to horror movies at all when you were growing up?
Of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, I saw The Exorcist in a revival house probably when I was about 13, and remains my favorite horror movie of all time. But yeah, of course. I was a movie fan, so yeah.
The Exorcist is your favorite. Good to know. All right, so we're opening with questions. Go ahead and say your name and your question.
And that mic's dead. Just come stand over here. We'll repeat it for you.
I'm standing right here.
Hi, Geraldine. My question is for Alex. With you being so young, what motivated you to go and to get into acting? Was it you that was interested, or was it more like your parents that encouraged you?
It was my idea, actually. I grew up in North Jersey, and there was a girl who lived down the street from me who did commercials, and she did one of those 80s this is your brain on drugs commercial that I saw. I'm pretty sure that was the commercial, but I definitely saw her on TV, and I knew her in my personal life. Like, as a 5-year-old, I knew her as my neighbor, and I saw her on TV. And that was amazing to me. I thought that was the coolest thing. I wanted to do that. So, yeah, no, people always think that with child actors, your parents are hard up on money and want to, exploit their children into it. But no, I don't think my mother got much joy out of driving me in traffic into New York City all the time throughout my childhood. She was not a stage mom by any means,
But she supported you and helped you get through it?
Yeah, or, I was a pretty stubborn kid. I'm a tourist. She didn't want to hear me complain about it every day, so and she gave in.
So the kid who did the commercial, did she get to see your movies and you were like, what now? I got a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
She quit acting.
She quit.
Soon
That's
after.
it, done. Can't top the horror movie. Awesome. Thanks for your question. Next up, coming over. Oh, okay, come on over. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Child's Play's biggest fan right here.
Where?
Right here.
Oh.
Yeah. A couple questions. What scene in Child's Play 2 was most difficult to film? And another question is, what was the most fun to film? And out of all the Chucky movies, what's your favorite kill?
Yeah. Okay. First part, I think part 1 and part 2 are kind of similar to me in Child's Play 2. The most fun thing to film and the most difficult were all of those sequences in the factory. There was a lot going on. There's a lot of Chucky. Every time Chucky has a lot to do, it's very difficult for all of us because it takes 7 guys to operate him to move the exact right way for the camera to see it the way they want. So Chucky gets, 40 takes, and we get a couple. And if you're sharing the screen with Chucky at the same time, and whatever Chucky did that was perfect, and that was the exact one they wanted, that's the take they're keeping. So you consistently have to, do your best on every take, because there's no well, I didn't really like that, because it took 3 hours to get the doll to do that. So that's what they were keeping. As far as my favorite kill, for me, is killing Miss Kettlewell, my teacher in part 2. I never liked school, so that was
It's like a fantasy kill for you.
Maybe.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite kill was the glass in Cult, the falling glass in Cult. The hardest part for me in shooting was that I was working with a doll that had 7 or 9 puppeteers working him, and a 7-year-old boy. He had child labor laws applied to him, so he had to work his 6 hours and then go to his tutor and then go home. And Chucky was a more expensive actor. I'm just 1 SAG actor. He was 9 SAG actors. So they would do a thing where they shoot a scene called The Masters, where you see the wide shot and you see the geography of the whole scene. So when they go into close-ups, you know in your head where they are in places. You have the geography of what's going on. So if I'm doing a scene and Chucky and Alex aren't in frame with me, they probably weren't on set. They would shoot Alex, wrap him, send him home, shoot the doll, wrap him, send him home, and then do all my close-up work, which is the most important work because the camera's in your face, and I have nobody there. I'm doing the red piece of tape on that stand, that's Chucky. That blue piece of tape, that's Andy. And I'm not a very experienced actor trying to act everything in a vacuum with nobody there with me.
Was that like at the end of the day too?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, yeah, exactly.
So pull out all your energy that you haven't done.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you guys have any more questions, we got time, so go ahead. With this horror movie, did you have any interest in going on and doing more?
I'm interested in doing anything that pays me. As long as I don't have to get naked and it's not embarrassing, I'm game. So it was not horror specific. At the time it was movie specific, but that's not how it manifested. But any work is great. Yeah.
And you brought back Cult of Chucky for all the fans, for one, and for two, to continue on the story.
Well, Don brought it back. I mean, but he brought
You were a
me
big
back,
part of it,
which
yeah.
was, you know, I was incredibly grateful. It was surreal, for one thing, to be. I mean, I left acting when I was 13. I should say I left auditioning. Kind of like, I think once an actor, always an actor, not meaning that once you're good at it, you're always good at it, but if you're the type that likes to act, you know, you're always. We act in our regular lives all the time. Everyone here acts at one way or another. So yeah, after the long break of doing that, I was excited. I wanted to come back into the franchise. I watched Bride of Chucky come out and Seed of Chucky come out, and had nothing to do with it at all. So yeah, I was hoping to get that call from Don, and we stayed in touch right around the same time. Facebook, MySpace reconnected everybody. So Don knew that I would love to be a part of it, but he also knew that I haven't acted in a long time, and it would have to be something that was right for that character, and a good reason for me to come back. So that was why we did it.
Very cool. And it continues on. When you were done with Child's Play 2 and you moved on to television, was there somebody that you were hoping to work with as you were getting into more acting gigs that was, like you said, mainstream television?
No, there was nobody in television that I was, fetishizing. I'm a huge Jack Nicholson fan. I am a Sissy Spacek fan, and directors that I wanted to work with too. But my sort of definition of success is when people you admire want to work with you, and that hasn't really happened very much for me.
Have you worked with anyone yet that you were like, yes, okay, that's cool, check off the list? Anyone that was like a fun time to work with, or any other actor that you connected really well with?
Or did you just develop those relationships after working with them?
Oh, thank you.
So that
Yes.
You had admiration for them after it?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I don't admire anybody I've ever worked with, but
No,
it wasn't
sure.
like it wasn't like I got to work with Martin Scorsese though. So it was really.
You weren't a massive Brian Austin Green fan.
No, I didn't have Brian.
They're out there.
Yeah, I know. No, I got to work with George Clooney though, which was pretty cool. And before he blew up, and he is the nicest person on earth. He's just the most generous, really lovely man. But no, nothing pops up for me.
I heard Catherine Hicks tell a story at a couple of Q&A panels many times about working with Ray Liotta. Was like she was like a kiddie schoolgirl who
I got
in the eyes, and then she, I think, had like a very aggressive sexual scene with her
Oh.
in the movie. Yeah.
I got to do a scene with Rutger Hauer really, really early on, like 5 lines or something, which was awesome because Blade Runner's why I became an actor. Blade Runner's why I moved to LA to try to be a director. Blade Runner's really important in my life, and Rutger Hauer's a stud, so that was pretty awesome. And super intimidating, so
Yeah, I can only imagine. Big name and big presence. Yeah. Do you have some dream projects coming up that you guys are working on, or some things that you're promoting?
The Child's Play TV series is currently what we're hoping happens. I live here in Florida. I don't live in LA, and I don't live in New York, and I don't live in Atlanta or Vancouver or anywhere where they're filming a lot of movies. I own a recording studio in Clearwater for the past 4 or 5 years, and we've recorded like, I don't know, 300 artists, all different genres, and I love music, as most people do, but I really, really love music, and it's been really fun. So that's kind of what I do with myself all the time.
And like I was saying earlier, acting work at the level I'm at sort of happens quickly when it happens. If it happens, it tends to happen pretty quickly. Recently, I got very, very close. I was on hold for 5 days, which means they were really considering giving me the job to play Jughead's mom on Riverdale, and I was really, really wanted it. I was really
Riverdale
excited.
fans out there, yeah.
And I watched all 35 episodes. The hat. I didn't wear the hat.
You didn't wear the
My mother
hat.
told me to wear the fucking hat, and I didn't. And they gave it to Gina Gershon. So now
Who wears a
I
very similar hat?
She wears it all the time too. I never know. But anyway,
The two of you. Do you always joke and banter back and forth when you guys are at cons together, sitting next to each other? I know you take a lot of pictures together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Christine and I talk every other day, probably. We talk all the time, so.
Seeing the fans come to these cons, some experiences I'm sure that you've had with people giving you dolls and whatnot. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind as people you've met or people who've told you you've touched their lives or biggest fans, anything along those lines?
Sure, there's plenty of them. Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, this convention alone I've done 21 times. Media has been really great to me, and generous and kind, and he's let me come back and do this show every time. I've only missed 2 of them because I had things that I couldn't not do, but so I've met, at this convention alone, I've met hundreds of people that have said words that are more kind than I ever feel I deserve. So I've met a lot of people that have amazingly kind things to say.
Yeah, I think people don't always realize that we fangirl out, or on actors and people too. There's people in every convention he fangirls a lot.
I know.
Every convention I go to, there's somebody there that I'm sort of giddily walking past their table and afraid to approach them. So I totally appreciate what it's like when people are fans of our stuff we've done, and the nervousness and the excitement. I totally get it. And I've had a couple of girls like spontaneously just burst into tears, like I'm the Beatles or something, which is super, super sweet. And yeah, it's really flattering, and we couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for you guys. If you guys didn't watch the stuff, they wouldn't make it. So,
Very true.
gratitude.
Absolutely, and we appreciate them being here, right? This is a tired Sunday morning crowd.
We're just as tired as you are, trust me.
I know, you guys have a non-stop schedule. I know I saw you walking in to the hotel, getting right to your table, didn't have a chance to eat. You guys go right to it, so you guys keep a pretty packed schedule while you guys are here, right?
Yeah.
Back and forth from here to there.
Yeah, we were in Manchester, England last weekend, and we never saw the outside of the hotel. Like the hotel, the van to the venue, and back, and that's it. We're 60 hours in Manchester and probably 50 hours of travel to get there and back. It was brutal.
People say that to me all the time. You've been all over the world with this. That must be so amazing. It's like I've seen a lot of airports and hotels.
A lot of hotels, yeah. We were talking backstage. Have you guys seen the Child's Play Scare Zone at Horror Nights this year? Yeah, some people have seen that. He hasn't even gotten to see it because he's here to see you guys. So, I mean, it tells you how much they get out.
Yeah.
Glad you've seen pictures.
This has been a busy month. October is always a busy month if we're doing these
Sure.
convention circuits. October's the month usually.
It is the month,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
You said you fangirl over different people at conventions. Who's somebody you got to see that you were really starstruck by? Because I get that way too.
I like horror movies. Don't get me wrong here, but I'm not the biggest horror fan. I haven't seen every sequel of every horror film ever, and I know everybody who's in every horror film, and I know them personally. So I enjoy seeing people that I know personally again. But for me, when there's someone who was from something funny, usually that I love, or I don't know, like the first convention I ever did, all of Broken Lizard, the guy who used to do Super Troopers and Club Dread and all those movies. They were at the first convention I ever did, and I was obsessed with that Super Troopers movie, so I took a picture with all them. That was awesome. I met a couple people from the show Oz, which was like one of my favorite shows of all time, and The Sopranos, and So when things like that happen, that's my favorite.
Stuff that you watch on TV. Yeah.
I hope Michael C. Hall starts doing conventions.
We're trying to get some more Dexter happening in here. I wouldn't mind it being back on either on Netflix for another round.
Yeah.
Who have you seen? I know.
One of the advantages to being on the actor side of the table here at these shows is it's like I got to have dinner with Robert Englund and talk to him for 2 hours. He's such a lovely guy. I'm sure many of you have met him. He to talk your ear off. Really lovely man. And Kane Hodder is hilarious. Really funny guy. And
He's a friend of Spooky. We've seen him often. Yeah.
And so that's really gratifying. It's really fun to actually get to know them a little bit. And yeah.
Rather than just see them at the table with the picture behind them, yeah. The number one thing whenever I ask people during pre-shows, who would you like to see come Spooky? I always like to see what guest people want here is Robert Englund. They always want him to come. And we did have him scheduled in the hurricane hit.
I'll tell you guys, if you ever have a chance to stand in his line, it's a long line, but he'll treat you like you're the only person on earth when you get to the front of it. So his line's worth standing in if you're a Robert Englund fan.
Have any of you guys gotten to meet him when he was here at Spooky? Any Robert Englund fans? Yeah, I see a couple of hands. Yay!
I don't think anyone here is not a Robert Englund fan. It's,
Well, of course.
Has anyone heard of Freddy Krueger?
You guys know who Freddy is? Yeah? A little bit? A couple people?
We are tired today, aren't we?
I know, personally, I have a very good friend who has his autograph tattooed on her arm. So I know when you meet him, it's an experience for life. And I'm hoping I get my chance when it comes back around, yeah.
You haven't met him?
I was scheduled to meet him when the hurricane hit and we had to cancel. Yeah, I know. I was like, that one that got away. He's my big fish, exactly.
But any of you guys that have questions that didn't want to get up in front of this whole room, we're still here till 5 o'clock. So we'll be at our tables. You can come over there and ask us anything. I didn't have nightmares. Let's get that out of the way. But anything else, come by and ask us too.
I asked you earlier, you didn't get to keep any of those crazy plastic melted versions of Chucky. We don't know where they ended up.
Well, Kevin Yeager probably has them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's super valuable stuff.
Yeah.
He's got the Chucky he has from the first Chucky. I think he said was a $45,000 doll.
I believe because of all the robotics.
Yeah. And just because of the rareness of it, and
Sure.
it's from the first one. So Kevin, and then collectors. There's private collectors. You can contact Kevin Yeager. I mean, if you have a boatload of money you want to seek, and he'll sell you things. But so I don't know where they land. Private collectors have stuff too.
I was wondering where all those boxes ended up because there were so many. It had to take months for them to put those together.
And apparently I actually got one for a good friend of mine that's a collector back in the day, which I don't remember doing, but he says I did. And I didn't get one for myself. Just so jaded. It's so jaded.
It's like just one piece of that. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. Is there anything to look forward to that we should look for you guys? I know you have the TV show we're working on. Anything coming out new? Are you looking towards directing?
I wrote a novel. I wrote a dirty comedy novel. It's not erotica. It's awkward, horrible, and regrettable sex and comedy. I promise if you read it, you'll be scandalized. And
I love it.
Laugh, laugh, laugh.
This is the crowd that would read that stuff. So what is it?
It's called Bathing in a Single Girl. You can get it on Amazon. And I have a YouTube cooking channel, a vegan cooking channel that you can get to through videovegan.com is where we'll get you to it.
Fantastic. And you've got a recording studio in Clearwater.
I have my studio in Clearwater, yeah. And I'll be back here.
Yep.
I'll promote this for next time.
We'll hang out. Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to do our spooky selfie. If you guys want to come to the front of the stage, we'll get a picture with all the crowd behind us. One more round of applause for Christine and Alex, please.
Thank you, guys.
you.